So let's start the discussion. It will be a joint discussion. You have to participate. Your insights, your experience, your ideas have to be shared. Okay. So please. So we have audience through Google Meet also. If they want to ask questions, you guys can write down your questions in the chat box. That also will be addressed. Any questions? Yeah, please.
No, I just want to start with what is sustainability. Because I think we all have different thoughts about sustainability. What is our understanding? I think each and every one who is here have a different understanding of sustainability. And, what do they think in their own context and their own, backgrounds. Like you were talking about your childhood and how it is and what have changed from there to here. And basically, what is sustainability? If we can start with that, because yeah.
Why did this come to you?
Because I have it already. So okay. This is yours.
Okay, so Alina, what I think is to have that plugged into your consciousness. And when you engage in an act of creative process, you should consciously decide whether to include the factors of sustainability. So sustainability can have different operational definitions. It can have different constructs. Apply design thinking and probably what is the best that you can factor in. And if you can do a cost benefit analysis, if you have that mindset, that would yield a lot of results, benefits. From a profitability standpoint, we might feel there are a lot of negatives or there are a lot of limitations. But I feel this challenge can be broken down. This challenge can be reduced by applying the design thinking principle. Either your project get redesigned for the purpose so that we have spaces where you can pin these factors. But most importantly, the most important point is to have that in your consciousness, and you should address you should address that value to others, right? Just as we started in Bblewrap, I said, currently I'm doing projects without these considerations, right? There is a reason for that. For this point of time, I will do this and I'm announcing it in public, right? But at later point of time, when I have the capability to say, no, I'm not going to do this, then you are repositioning yourself and you are getting into an ecosystem where you can play your game really well. Yeah.
But what can we do? Because even the main packaging, it's for a particular
Client.
Market,
yeah.
So they might know about sustainability, they want to change, they can afford it. But what about the larger market? But what can we do on design? How will we address it? The common people. Because that is still their market. The regular packaging, the regular product. So how do we through design? What can be done?
Yeah, the feedback, that's true. I think this, I got the same question that Alina had when you were presenting about Khadi. So I was wondering if this perspective is correct or not. At least in the society that we live in on a regular basis, design is a very, very optional thing. Partially because design is not seen as instrumental for anything. Design is seen as a byproduct of aesthetics. Very few people understand the word design in itself. Design is very functional. Design is utilitarian. Design is everything. but you typically see design as just do design as well. So unless and until you design the value creation of any enterprise, any initiative, any project, by ensuring that design ensures value creation for the stakeholders. If you've ensured value creation for the stakeholders, then design can claim instrumentality, or we having been instrumental in the creation of that value, and thereby the designer can actually capture a share of that value. Very few people understand design. Very few designers understand value creation, due to which there is a big disconnect between the value creators and the designers in the world. So designers need to appreciate value creation, and the people who are more instrumental, or people who take initiative in creating value, needs to appreciate that design is something that they can leverage to create better value, or maybe serve a better set of stakeholders, or maybe do it with a SDG goal in mind. So when this happens, I think her question would actually get answered. I don't know if everybody resonates with this. This is what I actually thought when you were talking about Kadi. I just want to put one more thing into the audience, and I want to hear a feedback. I keep hearing these words design and design thinking almost used synonymously. Now, when I reflect, I can't see that they're similar. They're different things. There might be utopian cases where design thinking leads to better design, and design thinking leads to very, very optimal design. There might be side cases. But if I were to hypothesize that, you are doing design thinking because you are not originally creative enough. You are not observant enough. You did not think everything to the best possible design enough. You're using design thinking as a mechanism, as a process to cover your flaws. And you're saying that let the market determine, let the people determine, let the influences of the society determine the right design. That doesn't create good design. That's not the design required for good design. The design required for good design is to design it properly. You can't design a bad product and say that let the market determine by continuous feedback, short feedback cycles, repetitive asking, human thinking, UX design, UI design. All of that had to be done to a certain extent, and then you go and hit the market. I see this very, very conflicting with the way design thinking is practiced, not at really the best possible level in the world, but most people who speak design thinking actually use design thinking as a mechanism to not do design. They actually come up with a substandard product and say that, yeah, this is design thinking. I want to hear from the designers whether this is complete rubbish, or, I just want to hear.
I could continue from here. It's like I totally agree with you, and I think too often design is kind of people feel it's equal to sustainability, which is not true, of course. I mean, someone can say it's well-designed app, and I'm buying more crappy fast fashion, for example. Well, it might be like professionally well-designed, but it's not connected to any values or any kind of sustainable strategies. It's just a tool. And another thing you ask what is sustainability is also like it's a problem with the words, because sustainability is kind of wallpaper now. No one really cares about that anymore because it's everywhere and people use it wrongly. And we use words like responsibility or transparency. I think it can be really sustainable if companies super transparent and admit their problems, even the problems are not sustainable, but it's sustainable that you are transparent. So I think it's complicated thing, but it's sustainability. Just put this like same thing like design, which is put the stamp to everywhere. Oh, that must be good. No, come on, it's not. But when we go to so we shouldn't never use sustainable language to anyone outside of this room. I mean, like professionals shouldn't use it because people don't understand it, or even if they do, they don't care anymore. We need to tell real stories, what is really happening, how this affecting into my life, and not using this corporate UN mumbo jumbo anymore. But if we use that under sustainability, I think, of course, we need to track like few sectors, like we have, like financially, we can do we pay taxes, basically, or we don't. Then we have kind of social responsibility, like human rights. Then we have the climate stuff, and people normally are like putting all the sustainability is like climate issues. No, well, no. And then we are cultural part of it. Like, so we have different sectors of sustainability and responsibility, and then we can go there deeper. But this like term, like different words and terms are really important to understand. Like, for example, what we do nowadays more and more, we do we mentor boards or C-level people, like even face to face. Like, we try to give them all the understanding what we have, or decision makers. So they also, because they can't follow everything what is happening here right now. Every day, every term, every kind of word is changing. And once they, after 15 years, they understand what design maybe means, then they're already outdated. And then, okay, what am I going to do with this? And then you are bringing like design thinking in, and now they're panicking. Okay, what is this about? And so I think we need these whisperers, and we need people who are helping decision makers to understand in corporate level and in political level or governmental level, so they can move to the right direction.
I just reply one thing to him. Very interesting. I think I got a deep answer. I think it's like philosophy. No good philosopher talks about philosophy. That has to be expressed in the actions, expressed in the outcomes, expressed in the way you live. Talking about philosophy is not the way you live philosophy. So talking about sustainability is not the way you show sustainability. You got to show why it is sustainable. And that makes it good sustainability. Thank you for that answer.
Exactly.
I just put some random thoughts here. Like his presentation, he put that global that heat, right? That global warming is going after that industrialization. So that mass production will start. The problem start there, I think. So the answer is is it because of centralized mass production using unsustainable thing, or the answer is decentralizing more like Khadi with sustainable thing, or centralization using the sustainable products. So if we start, then the real change happens. For example, it is not starting in one day. Okay, tomorrow onwards is going to be perfectly fine. It is not like that. So now everyone is talking about a political correctness. Maybe 5 years before, or nobody heard about that word also. So we are making noise. So people are thinking about it. Then gradually that thinking may convert into actions. So
Can I point
yes.
two things? It's like once amazing products, but for example, if that product comes to, let's say, Europe, two things. The first is like European food mass production markets, the meat production, dairy is connected always, and so like that's why if I'm eating cheese is like as bad as meat, and animal rights are also in danger, and everything is like cheese is not an option. Milk is the same thing, and it kind of, and you said it's not connected in the normally like meat production and dairy production is not connected. It's totally different than the European market. So that's a big thing. I mean, if that is like that, like these Western guys there need to understand this difference. And another thing is like what is different is packaging industry is too often demonized, because it's also packages, if they're well packed stuff, is kind of reducing amount of food waste what is coming out, because then the food will stay good. I mean, but of course there's such stupid stuff like someone is putting plastic on the bananas in the supermarket. This happens, but if it's like if the packaging is well done, it also can be super kind of environmental friendly thing. So, and we did one research with one wine importer, and we were calculating CO2s from the sparkling wine, which came from Italy, southern Italy, no, northern Italy, all the way to Helsinki, and we one research institute with many CO2s, and where it actually all the carbons come from one wine bottle. What do you guess? What is the biggest amount of thing like carbons. What is the?
So the volume that you're asking, yes, on the volume of carbon.
No, I mean one bottle. If you need to put a percent on, like in one bottle, like where the CO2s are mainly coming from.
Glass, what?
No, glass bottle, wine bottle, sparkling bottle. No, it was 60. I think 65% is the bottle. So, and what is inside is almost nothing. I mean, alcohol, wines and beers don't really, is not a big problem in the CO2s. The problems are in the more like social side. So also like it's a complicated question, and if you enter this, come with this product in the market, of course this kind of packaging kind of innovation is brilliant and beautiful, but also need to maybe understand that not underlining only that part. So
I have some thoughts to it. Sometimes political correctness, there might be a problem, but I will tell you what comes to my mind. Okay, so don't take it really wrong. I feel India is heavily a market system protected by our institutionalized setups. And this market system, so we are all markets, we are all consumers, and we are protected. Where this group of market is not given either options to evolve rationally or create that level of awareness. It has to be kept like that for the markets to operate. That's where you can find product of same utility at the lowest, least quality. Just take bottled pulp-based juices. You really get chemical-based products, as well as you'll get good products. Our market has options for this. Now I have a question. Think of the last packaging material that you all have picked from retail store. Question number 1, how many of you have read the nutritional facts in it? What is that? Give me the count. That's 2 out of what we have, 30%. How many of you have calculated so you have to, there is a law that guides packaging and you have to abide by the law. There is a documented law, gazetted law publication that is there. You'll be surprised that if any ingredient is less than 5%, you need not write the detail of that ingredient in it. So a lot of preservatives that goes in, I mean, you would be knowing it. You would be knowing it. A lot of class of preservatives that are going in it shall be around 2%, 3%. Now my question is, what is the level of awareness as a consumer group that we have? We have other problems, right? I am not criticizing, but even if you take it that way, I don't bother really. I walk around my house from 6:30 to 10 o'clock. Half of them are on serials, half of them are on news, half of them are on shallow TV, because mine is a Christian remote. Christianity is what is there. Whereas, so the communication is at a different level. I don't know, I don't think there are sufficient room where rationality hits people, where this level of awareness is created. And when this awareness is not there, you fell prey for marketers to play their game. I mean, I will give you a simple example. You come with me today evening to a store, Silken, in Panambali Nagar. On one side, there is Surf Excel ka bottle. I have images in my phone. Excel in one bottle. And on the other side, you have Value Saver Pack, which are plastic pouches. And in this pack, he has written Super Saver Pack. And you have the same product in a 2 liter ka bottle. can. We three were there, me, Thanuraman, and Mithun. We took out both the packaging and then turned around and calculated the cost. Surprisingly, the package in which it was written Super Saver was costly per ml. The other one was cheaper. We took it out, went to the store and asked the store manager, did customers pointed it out? His reply was, even we were not bothered about it. So this is where consumer level awareness is really bad. And
This is where I asking, like,
Yeah.
what can we do? Because this is not just the consumer.
so design activism. Okay. So this is what I felt. My answer is the level of awareness is too low. It's really bad that there are a lot of other elements would consumers look at that trigger purchase in them. So one of the solution probably is to revise the technical document.
Not just
I
that,
don't
then
know.
again for the common people, who is going to read all? One or two.
So
But
to that answer, common people is a market system protected by our rules. Unless there is a large level layer of change that is happening, and I don't know whether they let it happen, this is going to be a problem.
No, it might be a little bit elaborate. Just go fast because I might like take some time.
So we have basic question. What is sustainability? Basically, that's what we ask. So I'll come to that. And why she asked and the background it that question represents. So I think the correct guidelines or framework it yet to derive. Even we have discussed about this subject with Jackson quite a lot of occasion, and different times in different discussions we are getting different directions. Then we go dig in what is the information about it, like here and there, and then we try to connect. Okay, this. So what I got to know is like we yet not able to derive a statement. Okay, this is sustainability. Because like when we are thinking about maybe a certain kind of packaging, and that packaging is completely ecologically friendly, and but that package is making 10% of the product into waste, and that product is uh, creating more carbon footprint than the packaging which we use as a plastic, then I would say that we should reduce the wastage in that occasion. So how do we define the sustainability? So we need to analyze the entire aspect. We need to analyze socio-political, economical, cultural factors, emotional factors, lot of factors. Sometimes if I feel some do something and which is out of my maybe emotional expression, and maybe okay, I just want to make a festival with crackers. I just felt, and I have fun, and I'm sponsoring somebody. That emotion is causing a lot of carbon footprint itself. Just a thought or just an emotion. So what I feel is there are people in this room and outside, whoever joined on uh, through Google Meet, or maybe there are people outside whom don't even have any idea about there is a meeting like happening here. So those people are the most like huge volume. We are not even representing any figure. But there are people who are working in this direction, thinking about the same question as she asked. We need to communicate. We need to exchange knowledge. We need to perceive knowledge. We need to collaborate. We need to know each other. So I think in this space, uh, the knowledge which we are perceiving, maybe we can communicate as a designer. We can communicate to other people. We have a lot of medium. Design is one of the medium, right? Bauhaus come up with minimalism, like it as design as a medium. So it's it's sometime like looking maybe from a bird's eye perspective. Maybe if design as a eye, sometimes it's from a different perspective. It can create culture. Design can provoke thought process. Design can emotionally touch. It can we can change the emotions. So when we design something in that space, that can be more aesthetics than the visuals which you are seeing. That idea in coming up with more aesthetics, then the project will be in a different level. Not I'm talking about the aesthetics in concept. Then it'll be a poem. That entire design project will be a poem then if that aesthetics is existing in its concept itself. So so it can be magical then. So what I'm thinking is like a lot of people have a lot of ideas, a lot of concept, a lot of knowledge, a lot of willing to do experiment. There are people who are working in corporate industry. People are from management background, medical background, a lot of different background. Why don't you? Why don't we form a space where we can exchange knowledge, ideas, and think about what all we can do in future? Uh, we don't know. So I do propose an idea to create a forum for all this discussion and change, exchange of ideas. I don't know what happened in future, but this is what I felt. It can be some space where we can keep in touch. Uh, maybe try to find out the definition of sustainability of what is sustainability, how we can tell the others also how we can create an ecosystem. Well, we can discuss anything like under the subject, whatever it's inspiring us as a designer. And like as a designer, we are capable enough to do much uh, greater things in society. So if you ask me in our freedom struggle, okay, Dandi Yatra, it's a design to impact certain people in certain way. So there is a design in it. The Dandi Yatra is a part of freedom struggle, and it's an occasion. It was a method of resisting colonialism. Uh, so design can be anything. I'm not saying okay we need to put any frame and we will be in that frame. Okay, thinking in this thing. Maybe design can be applied to anything. We can look it from any direction. We if we are thinking okay the concept, let's say belief system. It's a concept. Somebody designed it, or it's evolved design. It's a design. So that believing system is part of our belief system is directing us in certain way. It's make us to do in certain way. So that some design is making us do in certain way because that design is that much clearly well defined or designed. Sometimes design is not just design, but it is design.
Yes, it is. Till the time designers get their designs to speak better than marketers, marketer will win the battle of perception because marketing is not a battle of truth. It is a battle of perceptions. So marketing will win minds till the time design takes over. It's weak design marketed by good marketers. If the design is good, it will speak for itself. And that good design will make it sustainable. And that will automatically happen. But if you're weak, if the power is not there in the design, marketers will win. Marketers will take over.
Mostly that part is taken care at the
Marketing.
not at the product level.
Yeah,
Most
yeah.
of the companies, I have worked with companies that talk about sustainability all day, and they have no clue about what sustainability.
See,
They bring products from abroad, telling that this is sustainable product. Now, when it reaches here, it's not no more
sustainable
sustainable
product.
material.
And
So
sustainable.
that is not there.
And
So
this
the
term,
concept of sustainability.
I might a bit disagree with you guys because it's like I feel okay. I understand what his point, but I'm really disappointed on the design sector in general because designers are doing their own. I'm a designer. We are doing our own beautiful stuff somewhere in the corner of the beautiful studio, and we don't communicate. That's the problem. Communication is the key of everything. We understand why this matters, why it's important. We tell a story in the way for different kind of people, like they understand our language. Then they are engaged. But rarely design is part of communication. So it's just something, and it's nice, and people don't know even how it's used. So it's like I think we need to have comms and design, well-designed practices based on sustainability plus good communication. Then we are in the winning side, I think. But what comes to your idea of forum, I think is brilliant. I think we need this kind of forums, like a lot of these. But I think my suggestion would be like, what if could be like, as we've been talking today, we are here after 3 hours. It's like we haven't really touched anything yet. So it's like maybe if you guys are going to run this, maybe you should kind of write down the topics of under sustainability. So one day we're talking about food systems and food industry sustainability. One day is for fashion, one day is for traveling industry, tourism. One day is like more is this political stuff that you mentioned, and really you are really good at it. And so it's like I think also kind of just do really structured way, and maybe there could be kind of plan after each session, like what we need to achieve some goals. What we're gonna do here? Okay, this is important. Like we talk to each other, we learn each other, but we need to write down some kind of even tiny manifesto out from that workshop that we're gonna have. So it's kind of forcing us to do some stuff. And I think that's also like in the best schools and lectures or workshops, we need always that goal. Otherwise, we are just talking and talking, and half the guys already left home, and the last guys are still here. So, but we need to have like a structured way how to go forward and the goals. But I really like the idea, and I hope Bblewrap is going to do this.
Just adding 3 points actually on that thing. I totally resonate with most of you people's points on sustainability, art, design, and I might start myself with a small story. Because I was much more fond of arts basically. I never knew what is the difference of art and design initially, and then I went into the arts college or design college. Then only I figured out slowly what is actually the difference for you are your expressionism and what is design about. And because design always have a functionality to the society and for the products, whichever we are actually making it for the customer basically. Recently I became a father. So this story is about a father and son. I feel like this story might actually interest or somewhat functionates the questions or the topic which we are actually circulating within us. So this is a story about a father and son actually going on a beach for a walk. While they are walking, and there have been lots and lots of starfishes, small starfishes actually on the beach lying all over, and somewhat the wave is away from the shore, and some of these starfishes are dying, okay, because they can't actually tumble back to the sea. And father also thought about the same thing, came up, okay, what should I do? There are a lot of starfishes, and what should I do? And this kid actually picked up one of the starfish, and he throws back to the sea. And the father said him actually asked him okay, that doesn't make any change because you just only thrown only one starfish. There are a lot of it. So the kid simply replied, okay, maybe I thrown one. That make a big difference to that particular starfish, basically. Then it hit the father, and he also thought about, if everyone is doing on each, then probably it serves the matter. So why I said this story is basically the same thing, connecting back the dots when I went into NID and we learned about design and arts and design, there should be a functionality or there is a particular reason why we are doing that particular thing. If we are designing a product, as we were all like resonating the point, like so you were like actually saying, okay, we have to list down all these like areas or like domains which we should have a particular discussion. As we are actually working on different domains, like particularly say about me, I'm working on food tech, and obviously Bblewrap is like actually particularly working on packaging. And coming back to the Salma's question, that's why when I thought about this entirely, why we actually that's a big good question because that circulated the entire conversation, right? Uh, so why we have to do it? Because until and unless a designer does it, that basically that we were discussing about the social thing and educational thing, right? Because most of in Indian society or like in Kerala, like even we think about it, most of the people doesn't have a proper education on design. What is design about, right? Because I did an animation film design, and people ask me like, okay, you make cartoons for kids, but I have like actually recently went to Japan for a film festival, which we are actually telling stories, serious stories, actually based on like the wars and all these things, because we are actually touching human emotions, and it's a beautiful medium to communicate what we want to say. But apparently, if people over here they say that okay, you work for Cartoon Network, you work for like cartoons or like bache wala picture, which means like for kids you make it. It is not serious, right? So the thing is like uh, on the thesis with a social responsibility, while we were in the NAD, there have been a thesis in which we were taught and we have to take an oath on somewhat like all designers have a social responsibility. Whatever design or like design or any product or solution which you are actually making for a company or whatever it may be, you should have a ethics actually on it, because it shouldn't say about like it shouldn't actually deviate or like somewhat make a person to do any negative practices. It has to have a proper social function for it. So why we make like designs or like or any store like I mean, because most of the people, as Jackson was mentioning, right, people are actually like much more driven into the quantity than quality. That's over here actually in which I have seen actually in Kerala and most of the places in India also, because we believe in the volume and we think about like okay, for this price I'm getting like this much stuff, then why should I have to go for this sustainability factor and all these things? Survival mindset, because we are all in some way in a rat race for like preaching the bread and butter, and people want like to get more actually out of like whatever each penny they are actually spending on. So if you ask me a simple question like, okay, what kind of dressing which I am wearing right now? I might be wearing a hip hop style somewhat like with a cap, with a baggy t-shirt or whatever it is. Because there is an influence if you look into that thing. Each and every one of you have like your own style sets, right? Because we are some way like adapting someone's art or design thing which they implemented, right? So somewhat we are actually following their design or design solution which they have like suggested some way long back. So the simple answer is like, I mean, if you are suggesting something and if there is a lot of thought process actually gone into that particular product, it's basically a drive or like reaching out to the community or society that I am trying to introduce this stuff. Hey, look at this stuff. This have that sustainable factor. And until and unless we speak out, people won't even notice that, okay, there is something like this. Because I have seen that this barge actually, people were actually putting on, it can be a like metal thing which imprinted with something else, because you intentionally chosen that wooden thing because it has a sustainable factor. So that makes people question you like, why is this like something like that, right? So that is a design, that's an art, that's particularly what you are doing. So coming back to the same question for Salma, if we are bringing that particular product actually to the thing, in some way some designer is trying to communicate that, hey, we have a product which looks somewhat different from this thing, and it has like a number of things which is different from what other product is offering, and they have like all these sustainable factor, then it is somewhat way reverse engineering that people will think about it. Okay, this is what sustainability means. okay, if I am purchasing this, I am actually saving this things actually. And somewhat I am also contributing to the society in some way, right? And apparently most of the companies doesn't even care about it, because as I said, like everyone is like actually behind the rat race and everyone want to sell their product. That's ultimately the goal. And okay, so that's the one thing which I wanted to say. And adding to that question, even I want to add on few questions. Actually, it's up to you, sir, because you already told that work for Coca-Cola, right? And it is more like a corporate, right? Even I'm also working for a corporate. There's Domino's and Dunkin'. And recently they have been like actually selling all these pizza in a cardboard box, right? And which they says that, okay, we are actually avoiding plastic. We save serves like actually on the pizza box, which is made of paper. And we are somewhat like contributing to the, cost or sustainability cost, or maybe actually global warming and plastic reduction and all. What I felt is like always there will be a business model, right? And for a corporate team, they always have a particular goal for a particular we call about like what first what do you say like I'm missing the words. Actually, for this year, this is our goal. We have to like reach out this like mission and vision. There is a particular corporate blah, blah, for this year. And all these sustainability thing, eco-friendly thing is somewhat like a gimmick, which I felt from working in corporate, because they want to reach out and communicate to the society that, hey, we are doing something which is actually good for the society or like good for our like world or something, right? But there is a hidden agenda always, which I felt, right? So how can we actually bypass? And frankly, if we say, we can say about, there was another question like resonating about design thinking, right? Design thinking is a tool which actually there is an ultimate goal, which is not only sustainability, because there is also profit-oriented thing, which they somewhat wanted to achieve that goal. And we make that like goal somewhat like influential on that design thinking, because we ultimately know that, okay, this is not the right thing, or this is not the actual thing the customer want. We want some profit also from it. On basis of that thing, we are not actually providing everything for free. We will run it for 1 month as a free trial. Why? It is intentionally because later they will be addicted to it and they will actually purchase it. It's a business strategy. So that's why there is design thinking is always like actually a manipulated thing, and somewhat like we are bending it to our profit. I mean, as a corporate. So if you want to break it off, and if you want to make a proper sustainable thing, thinking about all those like social, political, and everything, how can a entrepreneur survive actually on that thing? Because my good friend actually started this brand, which was like we got the honey, and he also is like actually bringing that oats and all these things actually the market. So there is a question always: if I am bringing that thing with all the sustainable factor, and I am bringing it to the market, will it survive to the competitors, right? Because we are selling all the good points like, okay, because this is good for you, we are not even actually using any plastic or any other adulterant actually on it, but will you buy it? So that is a major question which I just want.
that we are actually changing the market.
Shall I take 1 minute time? We have time? Okay, in the discussion, my immediate thought on this, have you seen the design, how the cigarette companies of India is coming up? They have communicated, there's a communication of a visual, and it's clearly mentioned that tobacco is injurious to health. Same in the case of all the alcoholic bottles. The label is such a way, in the bond letter, it was mentioned alcohol is injurious to health. Number two, the same thing is communicated whenever we watch a movie in theaters and all. There is a 1 minute movie that's showing tobacco is injurious to health and all the blah, blah, blah thing. Whenever we switch on the television and the hero of that movie is making a smoking or something like that, we can immediately see a ban. Tobacco is injurious to health. So there's a communication is there. So communication is the main thing. It's my choice whether I have to take the tobacco or I have to take this kind of low plastic milk or high-end milk or something. It's my decision, but it has to be properly communicated. So tobacco is a right cigarette package designing in India. I don't know how it's globally. I have not seen such visuals in duty free shop and all that Rothmans and all. I have not seen such visuals. But here in India, there's a visual of a lung cancer or a face like that. A very vulgar kind of visual is there. So there's a communication. So it is the individual choice. Whatever you design, it's based on a brief as per the client. And the big fish always rule the world. Big fish. Yeah, what you said is right. If Coca-Cola decide from tomorrow, we are not coming out with plastic bottles, more than 70%, 70 to 80% of the plastic issue is solved. Today, I have read in World Economic Forum, they have mentioned as in 2050, our oceans will be double than the fishes. Plastic will be double than the fishes in the ocean in 2050. So this kind of big corporates have to take the call. It's not about the political. These corporates are ruling the world. Yeah, yeah. Like that.
Government stop cigarette. Tax rates are at 52.
Okay.
So,
So you remember earlier, India win the Rothmans Cup at Australia. The Indian Australian government later banned sponsorship of such alcohols and cigarette companies for sports kind of events and all. Now there is no such events sponsored by a cigarette company. Wills in India, Wills sponsored World Cup, but now it's not there.
Okay, so I think there are people who yet to speak. Aslam, then you guys. Yeah.
Any points for it?
Most of you have said everything, but yeah, what I think is more or less the behavioral aspect only of how to consume. I mean, like I said, now that I'm aware of things, I do go through the nutritional facts, what ingredients are there. That is because I am exposed to that space. Now, if I talk about my family members, they don't necessarily want to go into all those hassles because their goal is not that. They just want to get it, consume, and they're done with it. So that shift is like a long way to go, I think.
I think you can actually influence them.
I do.
Yeah, I wanted to add, like, there was an interesting thing that happened in Helsinki to 2012. There was World Design Capital, like Helsinki was World Design Capital 2012. And that World Design Capital was mostly like a branding event for the city of Helsinki to brand itself. So there was a tension between World Design Capital and the design community in Helsinki at the time. So they did something called Alternative Design Capital. So while the World Design Capital was talking about more sustainable furnitures and more sustainable products coming out of Finland, the Alternative Design Capital were all about do not design any more chairs, don't design anymore. Something similar to what one of his slides was about, like stop designing new things and try to extend so the Alternative Design Capital was concerned that sustainability as a term was being hijacked in order to sell a certain brand. And this is the same tension you see between the marketing fraternity within the sort of shops. But one big thing that is happening in India is in the West, when you have these products which are being sustainably brand, vegan milk and all these things, they have also a sort of like a back-end lobby. So, they have a plastic recycling system, they have a biodegradable recycling system. So if you do purchase those materials, it sort of goes into a certain kind of system. I don't know if it is more effective or not, but at least there is an equation that is being completed there in terms of circular economy. But when you bring those products here, but we don't have those waste management systems in the back end. what happens is, where are you going to throw these so-called sustainable products anyway? It's ending up in the mixed waste, most likely. So if the problem is also that we blindly adopt product packaging strategies from the West, and you put it into these stores here without understanding how we. So another interesting thing is, in Sweden, for example, I've been to some places that consciously try to live a completely alternative lifestyle outside. There's a place called Yarna in Sweden, in Stockholm. They are completely living in a alternative lifestyle, and they were the first people to do like organic milk and those kind of organic butter and things, which 50, 60 years later on, the Swedes started to think it's cool to invest in this business now. And if you go to those places in Sweden, they are living as if Indians were living in the 18th century. Like, nobody's taking plastic or bags into the shopping mall. They have to bring a big box, or they can't take any plastic. They can't take away any of the products in plastic containers. They have to come with their own bags. That's rule number one. So there is ways in which they are returning to the past and understanding in the past what human being designed in harmony with nature was already very good design. A lot of things we had in Kerala, for example, in the terms of how architecture and housing was designed, the ecosystem of the activities around that, it was almost like 100% a zero carbon footprint kind of living environment. Now, at some point, that will become a marketing strategy, and people will start to build houses respecting the past more rather than blindly adopting what. So I think the biggest issue I see here is we are blindly adopting strategies that have been designed for a certain supply chain in the West, and then we blindly put them in these fancy stores here. And that obviously is appealing to a niche crowd also. But the bigger problem is, even if that niche crowd does buy something like that, it ends up in the mixed waste in Brahmapuram. you know, so that is the invisible part of the equation that we designers don't talk about so much. So I think we need to have a lot more conversations and even community building on some level, to discuss these things.
So we need to wind up.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I'll invite Srikant.
So, good evening, everyone. Is it okay if I stand like this? Yeah.
You can come here.
Yeah. So, good evening, everyone. I am Srikant, and it is my privilege to be delivering the vote of thanks for today's event. First and foremost, let me thank Mr. Arto Sivanan, our speaker for the day, for his valuable time and his words. I'm sure we all have obtained rich insights that we can take back home with us. Thank you so much, sir. Next, I would like to thank Mr. Jackson De Silva for his short and sweet presentation of case studies. It was a very heartwarming session that has touched all of us. So thank you so much for that, Jackson. And this event would not have been fruitful if not for the wonderful crowd that has joined with us today. We are so proud to have hosted all of you, and thank you so much for illuminating our studio with your presence. So thank you, each one of you. Thank you so much. Let me also thank our audience who have joined us over, Google Meet and Instagram Live. Thank you so much for your patience and cooperation. And this event is actually the brainchild of Ms. Sheetal, who is the co-founder and director of Bblewrap. She is actually joining us from Finland over internet. So she has been like a very solid pillar of support right from the conception of Design Activism 2023. So thank you, Sheetal. I would like to thank Mr. Tanram CA, co-founder and creative director of Bblewrap. He has been spearheading the entire team, and he's very, with his meticulous attention to detail, has helped us make this event possible. So thank you so much, Tanura. Last but not least, I would like to thank my team at Bblewrap. They have been working very hard for the past few weeks and under such short notice to host this event and to arrange everything that you have experienced today. So I acknowledge each one of your contributions and efforts into this event, and on behalf of Bblewrap, I thank you so much. And I'm very proud to have been working with all of you. My thanks also goes to the numerous vendors, our partners, our food people who have arranged food. Sudha Chichi, who has cleaned and helped us organize. So once again, thank you everyone who has been part of. Yeah, the media team, sorry. The crew. Yeah, if I missed out anyone, I'm sorry. But thank you so much. So once again, everyone who has been part of Design Activism 2023, thank you so much. We hope to build a more resilient future together. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your evening.